welcome to a brand new episode of Sequel Rights, the podcast where we take a look at the franchises that make you go, they made how many of those? And we give each and every sequel a fair trial. My name is Justin Camps, and I'm here with
Elizabeth Helly
and
Tyler Hymanson.
And we're here talking about The Curse of Chucky.
The Curse of the Mummy.
Or I guess just Curse of Chucky. There's no the.
Yeah,
Sorry, guys. Sorry.
It's because he curses so much. Right?
Cursed Chucky! Curse you! This is the next movie
What's the year?
in the Chucky verse. We're hitting on 2013.
The year is 2013.
Wow.
This one was straight to video again here. Or wait, Seed of Chucky was still in theaters. I think this one actually was in theaters in a couple other countries, but in the U.S., straight to video. From our favorite company, Universal 1440.
I saw it and I was like, God bless
This
you.
is the first one that's branded under Universal 1440,
That's
right? So exciting. I mean,
Where are our Universal 1440 t-shirts and hoodies?
Yeah.
we need that.
The 1440. Repping the 1440.
That's right.
I would love to just talk to someone from there. Like, we really need to.
We'll figure that out. We need to
Get them on the horn.
get them on the horn. So, yeah, the year is 2013. Daniel Day-Lewis is playing Lincoln.
Daniel Day-Lewis plays Lincoln in The Curse of Chucky.
Life of Pi is winning a bunch of Oscars, and Rhythm and Hughes is going out of business.
Man, that tiger, though.
Yeah. So that gives you an idea of what's happening in cinema at the time.
Wait. You know what, though, would really give people a better idea of what's happening in the movie? What
Me
could...
talking for like 5 more minutes.
No.
Oh, okay.
No. I think this would do it.
Who's it from?
It doesn't say.
You found him.
Chucky's my friend till the end. Hey, wanna play? Can't we sleep in with you tonight?
It's only a storm. Good night, baby. Sweet dreams.
Don't forget Chucky.
It's a doll. What's the worst that can happen, huh?
Whoa. This one sounds real serious.
Sounds like that someone made a hard tone shift.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a course correction type thing. You could tell they went for a
Didn't we
very different
just watch a
direction.
movie that started with a crazy impregnation montage?
It did. We did.
Oh, man. And John Waters.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you couldn't tell from that trailer, this movie is a return to horror for Chucky.
Yeah. Bit of a reboot.
A little bit of a reboot, a little bit of a continuation, as we'll talk about later. But yeah, so this one, I don't think this one really gives a good explanation for how Chucky has returned in this film.
Well, okay.
The way it starts, I was like, yes, we're finally going to get to know how he gets mailed all over the place.
We do find out.
do.
Yeah, I know, but not for a while, so my hopes were dashed immediately. I was like,
And then I was kind of like going into it kind of confused as to how much were we really like rebooting or retconning
Yes,
things.
it
And
is
it becomes
confusing.
clear as you go on. But at the beginning, I'm like, oh, what's happening here? Because he looks brand new.
Yeah.
looks brand fucking new.
And pretty creepy, but also pretty bad.
This is apparently like a return to the original design of Chucky. But
It definitely was. Yeah, like the original good guy.
Yeah, I thought it looked a little bit not so
It
great.
looked weird. I think that this movie gets back to what the first half of the movie is people not thinking that Chucky is alive, people not believing, and there's a lot of disbelief, and this movie kind of gets back to that. And so in a way, that's good. In a way that's in the DNA of what these movies are. But in another way, when you're at the, fifth movie?
Yeah.
Sixth movie.
Sixth movie. In a
You've
series,
already lost count.
Yeah, in a series like this, it's like, Yeah, I fucking know he's alive.
Yeah, it was annoying. I found myself being like, get to the killing. Like, he's alive. Enough of this buildup. I know already.
I hate all these people. I hate them. And yeah,
How dare you?
And the movie literally the movie. Like, so let me tell you a story about me
You
watching
can't
this
hate
movie.
people in wheelchairs.
Well,
I can't hate Brad Dourif's daughter.
well, what did you think of her?
I thought she was fine.
She's the main character. I thought she was definitely the best one in the movie.
Oh yeah, I thought the acting overall was like not super great.
Yeah,
I don't know. I kind of liked her, but I don't understand why she had to be in a wheelchair.
Yeah, I don't really understand
because that's what they needed to do to steal the blueprint of this movie to make Annabelle Creation.
They're just always thinking of easy ways for people to be on the ground versus Chucky.
It's like doll comes to life, person in wheelchair, check.
Yep. She'll be on the ground a lot.
That's the 2010s doll come to life horror checklist right there.
I just like not to be all like woke about it, but if you're gonna have someone in a wheelchair, though, you should get an actress that maybe.
I know that was the first thing I googled. I was like looking to see if there's any
wheelchair?
photos of her standing.
Yeah, well, I mean, it became clear to me. There was a scene where she was on the ground and she pulled herself into the elevator with her arms, but then her legs just come into the elevator as she's closing the door, and I was like,
It's funny. There's like a deleted scene on the Blu-ray of like. That's just a deleted scene of her like getting dressed in the morning in bed by herself. And yeah, I think they probably deleted it because it's like you could totally tell sometimes when she like turns over. I'm like, you're using your legs to do that. No,
it's kind of unfortunate. I don't know. I just like there's been more of a movement to have actors that are more authentic to whatever the character is, or if you don't just put them in a wheelchair for no reason. I know like Glee kind of dealt with that because that one Artie was not in a wheelchair, but then later they had a quadriplegic character that was really a quadriplegic guy, and then they had a girl that was really in a wheelchair who's nominated this year for a Tony for Oklahoma, Ali Stroker. So yeah, but it's just got me like thinking about all of that. But I did think that like I think she didn't just get the job because she's like Brad Dourif's daughter. Like I thought she was okay.
Yeah, I think that with that it's definitely something that can be that we should discuss about. I don't think it's an automatic deal breaker that like you can't like just don't do that in movies.
Yeah.
And I don't think that it's she's a good enough actress where it's not just nepotism.
Yeah.
And we're just throwing her in there because that was the character. And I just don't think that there was justified enough in the story to do that.
Yeah,
like it was kind of just a throw in there, so it doesn't seem justified, and it doesn't seem like she's a good enough actress where it's like, oh no, she's totally playing it that way. It's kind of just like, well, she's in a wheelchair, I guess.
Also, she really looks like kind of a poor man's Emma Stone in a lot of these scenes.
Yeah.
Like, so
I thought it was funny in the special features. There's an interview with Don Mancini, and he's talking about the casting or whatever, and he's like, I saw so many actresses, amazing actresses to see Nika, but then I met Fiona Dourif, and I was like, oh, really? Okay. Like, just saying that.
Her since she was born.
Just saying that makes it sound more like, okay, how did she get this part? No,
right.
I don't want to assume anything, but, she was totally fine. I didn't mean, like, her acting was bad. I just thought, like, the acting overall in this movie.
No, I really, really disliked the actress that played her sister. I don't know. Something about her just, like, bugged the crap out of me.
Oh, yeah.
And it bothered me because I was recognizing her, and like, where do I recognize her from? And she's Freya in God of War, and has a actually pretty great performance in that game.
But that's a voice performance.
Yeah.
Well, and some facial capture, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, she has a long career, but it was one of those things where like, why are you familiar?
She seemed a little weird too in the special features. There's this whole special feature just about everyone talking about how amazing each of the actors are in the movie, and like there's like two different times that she's talking about some guy, and she's like, I think she says it about Don Mancini and also the guy who plays Ian Brennan Elliott. I think, or maybe it was Brad. I don't know. But she's like both times like, he's the most curious man I've ever known. He's so curious. And I was like, just the way she said the same exact thing about two different people, I was like, okay.
The curious little monkey.
Yeah, if anything,
a little off.
I would maybe fault the directing for not. I think that they're giving like they're all like because the performances are all operating on the same kind of broad level. I think that's what he was going for, and it doesn't necessarily work for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. Let's go back to the premise of this. Is that
someone's
Nika-
mailed Chucky again?
Yeah, she's in a wheelchair. She dropped out of community college because she didn't finish her community college thesis, which I didn't know that was a thing, but okay. And she lives with her mom, and her mom's kind of overprotective because she's in a wheelchair.
Yeah,
Right.
she seems a little crazy, but you don't really know.
Yeah, her mom's
why.
kind of off.
Right.
She's
Yeah.
painting sunflowers everywhere for some reason.
There's a hilarious like the opening scene. You know, Nika's like on her computer and the doorbell's ringing, and her mom's like, "Nika, get the door!" Even though it'd be so much easier for her mom to probably go to the door. She's too busy painting sunflowers.
Yeah.
But
For totally normal reasons.
she's like arguing with her mom. She's like, "God, fine." And she goes, and she's like, "I was playing solitaire." And her mom's like, "You know the computer cheats, right?" Nika says like, "Yeah, I'm used to it." And I was like, "What the fuck does that mean?"
It means that Don Mancini is bad at computer solitaire.
She's used to the computer cheating on her on things.
I think it's like, yeah, I'm used to life being not fair.
Yeah.
I tried to Google flights and the computer kept changing the dates on me. It's cheating. I'm used to that. Oh god.
Also in 2013, like no one's like, I mean, like I guess you play solitaire, but not like there's other games,
Totally.
and you're playing on your phone.
Yeah, that's true.
That was just her first thought that came to mind. I wasn't Googling vacation spots.
They live in a big old, scary, decrepit house with a
Crimson
cagey
Peak
elevator.
elevator.
Which I guess has to be in the Chicago area for reasons that come to light later.
Yeah, I guess. I've seen lots of those houses downtown. Let me
Okay.
tell you. No, I'm kidding. I'm sure this house is like that in the suburbs.
Sure.
Yeah, they said that they were significantly farther out from the main family, so that was annoying to the sister. Or
You know those
whatever,
people that
so.
live in Indiana but say they're from Chicago?
Right.
Just like
yeah.
that.
Sure. But they're still in driving distance to a suburban Chicago
Exactly.
toy store.
Exactly.
But yeah, they keep hitting you over the head with the fact that like she's mad at life and her lot at life, and she's like, I left the church because like God didn't treat me and my mom right or whatever,
Right.
like, and all this like chip on her shoulder kind of stuff. She's very bitter.
Yeah.
It's not fair.
She just doesn't want to see her get hurt, Tyler.
Right. If she paints enough sunflowers, then nothing can harm her.
There's this whole
So yeah, they get Chucky.
yeah. They get Chucky in the box and they're like, "What the hell is this? I don't know. Who would have sent this?" But it doesn't matter because in an off-screen death, her mom gets killed in the middle of the night.
By Chucky.
Well, do we know that? No, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. That's the thing I don't quite understand about this movie is that it eventually gets to the point where it's so inside, where like it's pretending like it's a reboot, but then it's a direct sequel.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's like not only are we gonna mention those other movies, we're gonna get like in the weeds of what happened in the past movies.
Yeah.
You know, like, but in the like for the first
Hour.
I don't know, half an
For
hour,
the first hour
yeah,
of
you're
the
just kind of like, is this even connected?
So here's
Yeah.
here's the thing that happened. I'm going to tell you what happened when I watched this movie. Because I lied to you earlier today.
Oh god. Okay.
I was traveling this weekend and I watched a movie on the iPad and I fell asleep after
boy.
watching through this whole opening. And then I was like, well, like there's only like 20 minutes left in the movie, and so like let me just see on Wikipedia because my rental expired because the Wi-Fi in the second hotel we stayed at it wouldn't bring it up at all. And I was like, I don't want to
Too
pay
much HD fidelity.
I don't want to pay for this movie twice. And I was like, that's okay. I'll just maybe read the description of the last 20
That was
minutes.
the real Curse of Chucky.
And then what I'd gotten to was like right when the nanny was killed. And then I read the description of the movie and I was like, the whole fucking movie happens in the last 30 minutes of this movie. So I rented it and I finished it.
there you go. You hear that? Universal 1440.
I paid double the price for this movie because this movie takes so fucking
takes way
long
too
to
long.
get going.
Yeah.
It's literally an hour in.
There's an entire 30-minute chewing food scene that I was like, can we stop with this?
I was like, is this for that Japanese porn category of people just eating? You know, like
it was really freaking me out. I was like, this is truly a horror film. You guys.
yeah. There's a lot of
It goes on so long.
who directed this one?
Don
Don
Mancini.
Mancini.
Yeah, he
Written
definitely
and
like
directed.
is like, I'm gonna do these cool camera tricks now, like the spiral overhead table thing. I was like, oh god,
It
like,
took so long.
I don't know if you guys, like, as these are going on, and maybe this is a bold thing to say at this point, but, like, now this new one that's coming out in theaters soon, which we look forward to that episode, when it's like, everyone's like, outraged, like, oh, Dom Mancini's not involved. I'm like, that's not terrible.
Well, I don't know.
I'm not ready to make a judgment yet.
We gotta see the last one.
I guess.
But
This one seemed self-indulgent.
But some of the shots, I was just like, are you just trying to make the movie longer?
Yeah.
Like, especially like the chili, it's zooming in on the cheese. Like, okay, so they make the chili. Okay, so she's going to make dinner for everybody, and her little niece is helping her with the chili, and so they make the chili, and then they put cheese on it, and they go out of the room, and Chucky, like, comes to life and puts rat poison on one bowl of cheese, or of chili with cheese on top.
Because I guess it's supposed to be like a psychological thriller at this point.
And then, like, Chucky has to hide, and then they go out of the room, and they start taking the plates, but there's a slow shot that I swear goes on for, like, 90 seconds of just zooming in closer and closer on the cheese that's on top of the chili with the little, like, rat poison dots in it. It's just like, zoom in.
It's like,
on the
we know
cheese.
we showed you the rat poison going on this cheese, but now we need to really make sure that you can see the rat poison
like,
on
if you
the
see
cheese.
Chucky's little hand grabbing the box of rat poison, that's enough. Like, you don't need to then zoom in on the cheese for 90 seconds.
Can you guys believe, though, that Nika made dinner for 6? Are you fucking kidding me?
What? She's disabled. You think she can cook food?
I mean, that's okay. We're making a joke, but her sister basically says that in the movie.
So when
her sister's a total bitch.
when her mom gets killed, the sister shows up with her husband, their live-in nanny,
Her au pair.
Her au pair.
Her au pair.
No, not that. Just the nanny.
yeah, and then a random priest,
Yep, gotta have a priest.
because that's how all jokes start. So they're all there and make sure he's okay, and then that's when the dinner thing happens.
Yeah, there's some amazing parts here with her sister. Like, she makes everyone leave. Like, we need to have a private conversation here.
Her sister Barbie, by the way.
Yeah, her sister Barbie. Yeah, or Barb, or whatever you want to call her. And she's like, times have been really hard for us. And she's like, print media is dead.
Print media is dead. It's true. Times are hard for me too. You
And she's
guys.
like, and Ian's working at Starbucks. Our lives are terrible right now.
She's like, Alice might have to go to public school.
And the priest is like, and she had her heart set on St. Jude's private, whatever the fuck bullshit.
I love that. I wrote that down.
Yeah,
Print
and then-
media is dead.
And then Brad Dourif's daughter is just like, you have a nanny.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
And she's like, well, I don't think that'll be permanent.
Oh my god, the whole Starbucks thing is so
What a
funny.
mess. Yeah. So also at some point, Nika gives Alice Chucky, and we get kind of what happened to Andy in the first film, where Chucky's like whispering shit into her ear, and then she's saying like, "Chucky told me there is no God, and we're all fucked." And they're like, "What?" You know, like,
Yeah, there's that one time that Chucky, I think he's talking to Ian or something, and he goes, "Life is short."
yeah.
And it's like, do they always say that?
In doll form. he says that, yeah.
Life is short.
And the dad does. He's like, oh, good guy dolls. Like, so it's like, it's tying into the lore. Like, it's like people know what it is. And it's like, that's kind of the first time where it's like, okay.
Yeah,
like, so people know what these are.
That scene was funny because like Nika was like, this doll seems familiar for some reason. And she's like trying to work out that she remembers, about the murders. And he's just like, no, everyone wanted these. It was a huge thing. He doesn't know anything about the murders apparently.
Right.
Which I thought
That
was funny.
actor, he on Unreal, like the Bachelor TV show, like fictionalized version, he plays like Chris Harrison, like the host of the Bachelor, but they make him like even more tooly on purpose, like,
funny.
and
Nice.
yeah, he's
I
always
can
like,
see
put
that.
the camera on me, like that kind of guy. So I was like, where do I know that guy?
Doesn't seem like a stretch for him. on
No.
this.
Yeah, he wasn't a very good husband or father.
No, yeah. No, this movie, and again, like it's kind of something like the underlying cynicism and sarcasm that we saw in some of the other movies. That like it's kind of just a little mean in the way that this twist happens. I just assume we'll just get into it because the dad is flirting with the nanny the entire time.
Well, or even if he's not, the film wants you to think he is.
Right.
He like turns when she walks away, and the camera, maybe not him, but
Yeah.
the camera looks at her butt, and like, you know, that kind of thing, or they make it seem like he's constantly trying to be like, oh, you're going over there, I'll go over there too, you know, which like wants us to think that he's going for the nanny when really it might just be to get away from his horrible wife that he hates.
And I even think the twist on top of so basically what we find out is that Barbie is actually having the affair with the nanny.
Which is like the dumbest, most implausible thing
Right.
ever. And they start making out, and I'm like, ugh.
That
Like,
scene was so funny because so the nanny, her name I think is Jill. She gets roped into like going to look for Chucky because Alice has lost Chucky or he's hiding or something, and she's like looking around, and then Barb like appears behind her and scares her, but they're standing so close, and the whole time I'm like, why? Who the fuck stands that close to each other? And then and then I was like, oh, I get it.
But and then later, completely out of left field, not believable at all. Go ahead.
Yeah, later in the movie, she's in her husband's, they're in their bedroom, and then the nanny is in her daughter's bedroom, and they decide now's our time for a sexy cam show between each other.
Yeah, with no sound.
Yeah.
But it's like, what nanny goes to bed in the room with the kid naked?
That is creepy as fuck.
Well, no, yeah, she's in the room with the kid, and then she strips down to her underwear.
Yeah, which I thought this was going to be a scene where like Chucky was like watching her get naked.
Here's a question. I didn't watch the unrated version, so she was in the underwear for me.
Just
She
underwear.
was in the
Okay,
underwear. Yeah,
okay,
yeah. We can get to that. Don't you worry.
Okay.
But yeah, her death scene is one of the things that's slightly different in the unrated version.
Oh.
It goes on way longer. There's like extra scenes of her like eye slowly burning,
Okay.
which I
It's
actually
like, how
thought.
does that work?
It doesn't.
Yeah, like if you were being electrocuted by water spilling on the floor where there's an outlet, your feet are being electrocuted, but why would just your eye start burning?
It wouldn't, and then like the it would blow the breaker, and you probably would not die.
Yeah. But instead, she's just like, and then, but for some reason, it only burns her eye.
I thought it was actually like a pretty chilling death. Like to me, maybe just because of the way it took so long, and it was like taking forever for her to die, and she's just like. You could see like she's shocked, and she's not like flailing like joking.
She's paralyzed.
She's basically like stuck there and can't move, and she's just like. And the thought that like before it happened, she turned for a second and like most people see that Chucky is alive and then like immediately die. I think that's just a scary thought to me. Where,
I agree.
And just the way she died I thought was kind of one of the better deaths in the movie. I think.
Yeah. Going back to the chili thing.
Yes.
First of all, how did Chucky know that the expendable priest was going to be the one to get the poisoned bowl of chili?
I think he didn't.
He didn't. He was just playing mind games, I guess, or like he meant
just-
to poison everybody, but
He
then
just
like
wanted to kill somebody really badly, or maybe he meant to poison everybody, but like they came back too soon. But
I
it's like,
think that's what it's supposed to be.
but yeah, it's kind of like he has this whole thing that he wants to kill Nika or whatever. Or he wants to kill them, but like it's like if you kill Nika or if you kill the little girl, your whole plan's kind of shot from then forward. But he just puts rat poison in one bowl, and you don't like know who it goes to.
Well,
they're
and
trying to make it seem all mysterious, but I'm like, clearly it's going to be the priest because he has to die first because we care about him the least.
And we don't know what Chucky's wants out of this until until everything's already happened, basically.
Yeah, and again, the scene goes on for like 10 minutes at least.
Everyone just eating chili, and then someone's like,
Yeah, there's
like,
like,
oh, did they get it?
yeah, there's like everyone. The camera goes around the table and shows everyone take like 5 long bites in total silence.
What's that? Is a bead of sweat on someone's brow?
Yeah.
Maybe they got the poison.
Yeah, or then Jill's like, oh my God. And she's like pauses and they're like, what? And she's like, this chili is delicious.
Yeah, and the daughter is like, this tastes gross. Something's wrong. And then I guess that was just nothing. I don't know.
No. It's just, ugh.
And then, the priest is like, I need to leave now. I'm sorry. I'm totally fine. Don't worry about me.
Which I honestly thought.
Don't ask any questions. I'm so
I honestly
sorry.
thought that he recognized the doll at that point.
What?
Why would you think that?
Because I thought like his problem was like, I don't feel good. Like I kind of know what's happening here, and like I need to go.
I guess. I don't know. I just thought he was like clear, like,
because like, you don't know
He
that
thought he was like, I'm about to have diarrhea and like ran out of there,
what I
you know, like,
thought.
or I'm gonna
That's
puke.
what I thought too.
Yeah.
He's like, he heard
the
Alice,
Lord would not approve.
he heard Alice already right before that say like, something's wrong with this chili. And then he's like starting to feel like something's wrong. So he's got to leave like right away. Like, so he's already got the okay, like, oh no, something is wrong with this chili.
Instead of leaving and getting in the car, it would have been better if he like ran to the bathroom and had like a Dumb and Dumber.
Or just jumped out the window. Just turn and run jump out the window. Instead, he drives off, and like 5 scenes later, we see that he's like crashed his car, and they're immediately like, "Oh, that priest was probably drunk off his
The
ass."
other cop's like, no, he hasn't drank in years. Like, how do you know? He's like, he's my sponsor.
Yeah.
So stupid.
It's really dumb.
By the way, you know, like, Don Mancini, like, must really hate AA or something, because this is the second time that
Yeah.
he's, like, poked fun at AA being dumb and useless.
Oh yeah.
So,
And then this scene is great. Like, they come up to the preacher's car, and his head is like trapped. It's like the
Classic
the
preacher
hood of the car,
sunroof.
like the hood of the car or something like went right into his neck, and he's still alive. And they're like, "Blink if you're alive." No, but the cop is immediately like, "We got to get him out of there. He's my sponsor. I'm feeling. I need
Get
help
him out
right
of there.
now."
And the guy's like, I can't authorize that because somebody has to authorize this.
Yeah,
I
and that
guess.
seems like a real bad idea.
Yep.
If you've ever watched a movie where someone's cut in half.
Yep.
And
And then,
I don't know if that's. I don't think that's how it works.
and
in
then
real life.
heads roll.
Yeah, he authorizes that shit, and he dies.
yeah.
And there's an explosion of blood, and it's kind of great.
Another thing is how this is trying to go back into horror. There's a lot of
Something's
dumb-
wrong with this chili. The priest's inner monologue.
Do we think that he crashed the car because he couldn't stop shitting himself?
Well, yeah, and they show that his severed hand had clutched his
rosary.
Yeah,
Oh, fuck you.
yeah.
Movie.
Like he was like the devil guy.
There's a lot of fake out scares, which annoyed me because I was just like,
It ends with a fake out
it's
scare.
conventional horror. There were a few that, like, I mean, there was one time that I actually did like jump almost, you know, but when there's fake out ones where it's just like, oh, it's a curtain shifting or it's a window or it's not Chucky, you know, that's
it's her
annoying
creepy
to me.
shower room.
Yeah, it's
It's
one
a
thing to have
sunflower.
jump scares. It's fine if you're going to have jump scares. But then when you try to have fake jump scares that then are not Chucky, that is freaking annoying to me.
Yeah.
Especially in direct-to-video. Like, it just, ugh. I don't know.
So things are in motion.
Priest is dead.
Priest is dead. Alice is missing.
Mm-hmm.
People are looking, and
Jill is dead too. We've already talked about
Jill's dead, and Brad Dourif's daughter is thinking there's something about that doll. So she's a Googling.
Yep. She gets out her Justice League.
Yeah. Oh, what's this? A Flash Man of some kind?
Flash Man.
Some sort of like, Lex Luthor's graphic designer's badass. These logos are iconic.
We should have mentioned, at some point they were watching home videos, and in the background there's like some dude, they don't know who he is. She's like, I don't know, some old family friend. It's like clearly Brad Dourif.
Worm tongue?
So you're kind of like,
Worm
okay,
tongue.
like,
Yeah.
I guess it is connected, sort of, because that's Brad Dourif, but you still don't really know.
And it's not like in late 70s video. Like, it looks like it's the 50s.
They have it on like an actual film reel.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, okay, well, all right.
And then, so yeah, she goes on her computer and she types in Chucky doll evidence or something. Chucky good guy evidence.
She types in child star check-in.
Child star check. Beep, boop, boop, beep, boop, boop, beep.
Yeah, this
Like,
is basically what it looks like when I'm doing the child star check-in.
Chucky's in tennis camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, she scrolls by all the different things. Like,
Yeah. But so yeah, it comes up and that's when I was like, okay, we're acknowledging the lore, and so now I'm like more in this.
Right.
You know?
It's like, okay.
Because it says, like, you know, doll blamed for murders in Chicago, Hackensack, Kent Military
yeah.
Academy, and Niagara Falls, and Hollywood. And I'm
Yeah.
like, ooh, well, that's cool. They mentioned like every single one.
Yeah.
I'm excited now, you know. They show like the news article with Andy and, you know, like all that stuff. So,
Then the movie reveals one of its major twists is that Radio Shack is still a thing, and the husband has shopped there.
What?
And he has put a nanny cam on Chucky
Oh, that's right.
for $450 that he put on his wife's credit card.
That was so great.
He's like, "Oh, Radio Shack, bitch."
And she's like, yeah, well, why don't you go make another latte?
Yeah.
She's just using Starbucks to, like, cut this dude down.
And then
He does not look like someone who would work at Starbucks,
No,
by the
he
way.
does not.
It's, like, way too old. I don't know. Do old people work at Starbucks?
they do in the suburbs. Like you'll see, like
Sure.
it's all the typical young people at Starbucks, but then there'll be like a mom, like
The manager.
who is like, yeah, and
I've seen moms at Coffee Bean, but
yeah, not so much like here in the
seen
city,
moms at
but in my
Starbucks.
hometown, like every Starbucks would always have like
Oh, no.
some old or middle aged.
Starbucks has a Logan's Run policy.
that's fucked up.
That's how they make those little sous vide egg bites.
Oh no.
So then we get the central. I guess so. The conflict between Barb and I'm forgetting what's
Nika.
Nika is that she wants to sell the house and she wants to put her in a home basically because they want to keep the living nanny.
Yeah, she wants to put her in a home for like. It looks like for developmentally disabled people. And she's like, you need assisted living. And she's like, I'm in a wheelchair. I'm not like, comatose. What
It's
are
like
you
I could
talking
live on
about?
a
Like,
boat. Like I'd be fine.
Throughout this movie, everyone is like hating on her and just immediately thinking the worst of her. Like,
Yeah.
she's crazy. She murdered people. She like anything. They never once consider like she's a
couldn't-
normal
you
person.
couldn't even finish your community college thesis, which isn't even a real thing.
Send her to the madhouse.
So they kind of don't like each other, and then Barb goes out and is carrying around Chucky, and Nika now knows like, oh fuck, like that doll's a killer. And their miscommunication is that Barb thinks that Nika knew that there was a camera on the doll,
That was so stupid.
and then
oh my god, you know about this? You were plotting against me?
and it's done like super over Shakespearean dramatically, where
Yeah.
where Barb's standing up on a balcony of like their creepy staircase, and Nika's down like, just put that doll down, and they like no, and then even after that whole thing, like I thought Barb was just gonna throw it over the side, like fuck this thing. She carries the camera with her the entire. She's like, I'm just gonna carry this doll around as I look for my daughter. I'm just gonna carry it around.
And I mean, she keeps trying to tell her, just put the doll down, but she doesn't actually say, like, the doll's haunted and it's a murderer,
She
which
says-
maybe would have interrupted Barb from
She
just,
says something like, you don't know what's inside there. And then Barb's like, you know what's inside this? And you're just like, God, stop it with the miscommunication
who's
jokes.
on first?
Exactly. There's something in there you don't know about.
Yeah.
Oh, God, that was so dumb. Anyways, continue.
Then the movie starts.
She can't go up there because the power is out, right?
Power is out from the electrocution thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Which
So she has to pull
but
herself
the
up.
power was on just long enough to kill her again.
Yeah.
So then Barb's like, hey, I know there's probably more ammo in the attic. Let's go Resident Evil rules and go to the creepiest spot that I don't want to go to. And maybe my daughter's there.
Yeah, because she's carrying around the doll just looking for her daughter, yeah.
She didn't discover the dead au pair.
No.
She didn't go to her daughter's room.
Nope.
Right.
Because
Okay.
Chucky was just, like, sitting on the stairs that lead up to the attic.
Right.
So she thought she was up there.
Dumb. Okay.
But I love the scene when she goes up there and she's like trying to find the nanny cam and she like touches Chucky's chest and she's like, the fuck is that? And she like pulls out the knife that's
butcher?
like hiding in
Yeah.
and she's like, her face is like, wait, what?
Let me just set this right next to it and turn my back.
Yeah, why is there a knife in this doll? I mean, that would be such a fucking weird thing to discover.
Like, at this point, this is probably like, I don't know why it's my favorite. Not because it was good, but I like this scene because the doll has looked like kind of off to me this whole time.
The entire time.
Like the forehead is too big. Like the
like puffy,
eyelashes and eyebrows are like too pronounced. You know, I'm like, it doesn't look right.
He looks like an anime version.
Yeah,
Like,
and
it's
so
like,
she sits after taking out the knife. She sits Chucky down. She sits right in front of him, and she's like staring at him, being like, "What the fuck is?" And you notice there's like a little flaking thing. And it turns out that somehow Chucky has applied like prosthetic skin to his face to cover up his scars from that Tiffany when she sewed his face back together and everything. So then like she peels it off and like reveals the thread and his receding hairline that wasn't there before. And that made me happy because I was like, okay, so it is the same Chucky.
Yeah.
And he's not in a new body somehow from the, give me the power. This is same body, same Chucky. We don't know how he got back. He was cut up into pieces.
His arm attacked his son last time we saw.
Yeah, and then I guess we could talk about that when we get to the end.
We can talk about it now.
It's maybe explained.
So yeah, we don't really know, but
let's wait.
Clearly the same Chucky that was at some point sewed together by Tiffany.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is great because like then she goes like back to touch his face again, and you can clearly see now he's like the regular puppet.
Yeah,
and he goes, "Rah!" Freaks her out. And stabs her in the eye.
Yeah, because her eyes are too fucking close together.
Yeah,
just
you
like
look
her mom.
just like your mom. Her eyes were always too fucking close. This whole movie, I felt a little bit weird because like I liked that it was like back to the horror, but then they use for the first part of the movie they use Chucky so sparingly. It's like the Jaws thing where it's like you can't see him.
Yeah.
So that the times when he finally came out and it was Brad Dourif's voice again, I felt a little bit like it felt a little jarring to me sometimes. Yeah. I was like, oh, there's that comedic Chucky voice kind of, but it's being more serious. And that kind of, messed me up a couple times. Felt a little weird.
It's trying to do all things at once. And
it should have picked one lane and done it real good. Or instead it tried to go in the middle between the comedy and the
I don't know who it's for. I don't know if it's like, because it's not quite for Chucky diehard fans and it's not quite for newcomers.
I think it was actually for fans because the fans, I think at that point were like asking for it to come back to horror.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, the fans are going to, once they've purchased it on home video, they're going to sit down and watch the whole thing. But like, yeah, I think if you didn't know, if this were a theatrical thing, like you might be worried that like people are going to walk out in the beginning if it's not clear that it's the same Chucky, but
yeah. And I think part of that feeling for me might come from watching them, in such quick order like this.
Yeah.
I might have been more like, if I was watching it along, I probably would have been totally like, oh man, yes.
And you'd be
it's
more
a horror
forgiving.
movie again. This is awesome.
And the Rotten Tomatoes score would agree with you. I think this one's much more liked.
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what's her face? Nika climbs up the stairs using her arms, which would be extremely difficult. And then she's up there. She finds out that Barbie was killed by Chucky, and then
in a horrific scene as well, where like she comes like walking, up she's like at the top of the staircase. Well, no, before that even like. A single eyeball comes rolling down.
Which,
the
like,
stairs.
I don't think that's how eyeballs work.
No.
Okay.
Comes rolling down the stairs. She's like, what the fuck is this? And then her sister is like lumbering, like she's still alive, and then falls down the stairs at her while she's like, she can't move. She's helpless. And I thought that was actually pretty creepy.
She did good scrring, I thought.
Yeah, for those who have seen it, I think Brightburn does much better eyeball physics.
Oh, yeah, well.
That was so gross.
So then we get our first kind of scene of Chucky running towards Nika, and he is fully CG at this point.
Oh yeah, when he's walking down the stairs, it looked pretty bad.
It's pretty not good.
I think that's the one time that he's like completely CG.
Yeah.
The rest of the time he's still a puppet or a person in a costume.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
No, yeah, it looked like even the knife looked fake. It all looked fake. What was that?
That's CG music.
Oh, okay.
I was like, is that what the score sounded like there?
A little bit. Sometimes it had like the score is the first time that it had like toy boxy like. Although no, the score is
it's Joseph
LaDuca, yeah,
who did
Evil Dead.
Evil Dead, yeah, pretty cool. I like the score a little bit. Actually,
I did.
It's good.
So at this point, Is this when he reveals who he is to her?
No, Nika
She
now
knows.
Nika now knows.
Nika
what's up.
knows.
She knows everything's dead. The only person left is Ian. She goes and wakes up Ian.
Oh yeah.
And he is like, "What the fuck's happening? Oh my god, where's my daughter?" And like, here, go wait in the garage, and while I go look around with my bare feet.
Yeah.
And she's like,
Let me make a triple latte.
yeah. He puts her in the garage, and Chucky goes in the garage and like
Tries to
locks the
suicide
door.
her.
Yeah, and starts the car that's in the garage. And I thought that was
It was like when she took an axe and actually like went on the offensive to
yeah.
Chucky. I was like, oh, that rarely happens.
It was a funny
like,
image just seeing him sitting in
the
car,
driver's
like,
seat of the car,
Yeah,
and it's like,
laughing at her,
and he's revving it. It's like, how is he pressing the pedal of this car? Because I can see his head well above the steering wheel.
Yeah. And then
Does he have voodoo legs?
I guess he's got lots of voodoo powers.
Maybe it was like one of those
Not so far.
pushing a button cars, and he was just pushing.
Yeah,
Oh, no, it was really old, wasn't it?
but,
Yeah,
the car was going. And she's like, but she busts open the window and she tries to get the keys from him, but he like takes them and eats the keys.
Which is like, so the car's not running
like,
anymore.
I don't think we've seen him do that before. Like
Eat something.
they've talked a lot about his genitals and how that works, but we haven't really seen him like eat or drink anything.
No.
And the mouth wouldn't have like
A hole.
Yeah, so I don't know, but yeah,
it
he
was
eats
very
the
weird.
keys. Which
He
is
eats the
funny.
keys, and then Ian breaks in just in time to see Nika holding an axe. And he immediately was like, "What the fuck did you do?" Because, in the meantime, he's been running around the house seeing all the dead bodies.
Yeah.
Clearly, she's a psychopath killer because she's in a wheelchair and she's weird.
Yeah,
And then-
she's so creepy.
And then, guys, in case this wasn't enough, remember she has a heart condition.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was so fucked up. This is like your, sister-in-law or
Yeah.
whatever, and you're just going to let her die.
And she
right in
starts
front
having
of you?
cardiac arrest, and she pulls out her emergency syringe. She's like, "Put this in underneath my rib," and he's like,
Nope.
"I think you killed my wife,
Who I didn't like.
Clearly, you're a murderer.
who I tried to entrap with a dumb scheme."
I hated that everyone who came upon Nika was just like, "She did it.
Yeah,
Wheelchair girl did it. Look at, she's weird.
yeah.
She's not like us."
She couldn't even finish her thesis.
Yeah, clearly, only murderers do that.
yeah.
So dumb. So he ties her up, right?
Yeah, he
Ian
ties
ties
her
her
up, and then he finds he's like, then he decides to look at the nanny cam footage while she's tied up, while he puts duct tape over her mouth
Yeah,
because he's so terrified of like what she's gonna say to him.
Come on, really?
After she just so I guess he does inject her with that. So
He must have.
she's gone
guess.
through a near cardiac episode, and he's duct taped her mouth shut. And then he's like, "All right, well now
She'll be fine.
now it's time
asshole,
now
God.
it's time for me to look at my gadget." And then he's like fast forwarding through, and then he starts seeing Chucky kill a bunch of things. Then he decides to switch to the live feed. The live feed.
Okay, so this scene of him watching the videotape, there was so many times where it was like, clearly like Chucky walking around, and he didn't think oh, why is the doll moving around so much?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess
He
maybe it was
must
supposed
have
to
thought
be
the girl was
Alice
carrying
carrying
it.
it. Yeah, but I was just
No,
like,
there's a scene where he sees the doll open a door and then lock
Yeah.
his daughter in a thing, and then he's like, "All right, live feed," and then he's still watching it as it comes up behind him, and Nika's like, "Boo, boo."
yeah. Yeah, that scene with Alice was like maybe a callback to
Yeah.
Child's Play 3 with Tyler when he's like hiding in the room.
Yeah.
He does the same kind of thing. They'll never find me in here, which I thought was funny.
Then Chucky uses an axe to cut Ian's jaw. Cut his jaw off.
Oh yeah. So did this look super gross in the rated version?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. It says the differences here is there's it goes back to him for another extra second to show the tongue and all the blood.
Yeah, so there was a tongue. In
Okay. I think it's just slightly longer in the unrated version.
Oh my god.
More blood.
I also watched the unrated version, and I was kind of like, what is it that...
I know. I had to look it up.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to it because I read something that when I did the Wikipedia plot summary, I saw something that did not happen in the end credits.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Okay.
So Ian dead.
Ian dead.
Face cut in half.
She manages to chop off Chucky's head with the
First,
axe.
she has to get an axe to her numb legs.
Oh yeah.
Oof. Yeah,
He
that was bad.
he hits her with an axe, and then she pulls it.
She
out of her
she
own
uses
leg.
her legs to block. She's like, I'll never feel this.
Which was so messed up.
Yeah, and then the axe gets stuck in her bones.
As it would.
Yeah, and then she chops his head off, and then Chucky does the whole thing where like she thinks he's dead, and he's like, no, I can just.
Well,
come
I just
back.
wondering though, like. I don't think we've seen his head come off like that before. And
No,
you
'cause-
see
No.
like a full socket.
In the other
You
movies,
thought there'd be like zombie rules or something like that.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, in the other movies, if that happened, it would be like bloody or something. Because
Yeah,
it was all
because
about, like,
he's turning
into a
human. Yeah. There would clearly be like some sort of fluid going from his head to his body, but
Right.
this just comes off in a clean
Like it's a part-
socket, like you pull your Barbie doll head
Yeah,
off, you know? And so I was like, what?
Yeah.
But oh well. I guess they just really wanted the effect of his head like rolling away. or
Yeah, there's
whatever.
another moment that at the end too, the same thing. I was like, what? Yeah, so there's a cool shot of like his body coming back up in the background when like looking for the head for a second.
Oh yeah, he's like
Where
kind of out of
is
focus.
it?
He's
Yeah.
looking
It's
for
like
his
it's,
head.
it's one of the more fun puppet shots in the
yeah,
movie.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. But he gets the head back and he he pushes her off the balcony. And,
Yep.
in this crazy looking shot where she's falling, arms stretched out, head first to the floor, and she survives. I thought she's dead for sure here, and there's even like a ton of blood.
Well, her legs are already broken anyway, so it's not like it matters if her spine gets broken.
Well, right, because she can't
I mean,
feel
you don't know that somebody said something
because
like
she
that.
can't feel the axe in her legs. It means that she can't bleed out because the blood just
Yeah.
doesn't go to her legs
That's
anymore.
totally how it works.
That's just how that works.
Her spine's already broken, right?
But then, AA sponsor comes to the rescue.
Does he?
No,
wait, when did we get the flashback? When was the flashback?
Oh, it's
before he pushes her off, right? Or is it when she?
No, I
'Cause
think
he
it's-
explains.
I think
himself.
it's after the cop leaves or dies or what happens to the
He
cop?
like monologues.
No. The cop is later.
That's like the last.
cop-
Oh, okay.
survives.
Okay. I
So
wish he
yeah,
died.
no, you're right.
So it's
You're
after
right.
he pushes her off. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, he pushes her off. He's gonna go like
he's doing his villain speech.
he's doing his villain speech while she's like dying on the floor, and yeah, fuck.
So it's revealed that
that Don Mancini has seen Sin City.
It's a major flashback with many implications.
It's with a bunch of black and white and color.
yeah. So somehow in the 1950s, but actually the 1980s, Charles Lee Ray was introduced to this family by some other person in their family, and he looked at the wife who was like 9 or 8 months pregnant and was like, yeah, like he was
I'm
into
down
it.
with that.
Where even though timeline wise, he's like strangling at least 6 or 8 people
Right.
around the same time.
Right, yeah.
And so he kills her husband, or her husband dies under
Well,
mysterious
No,
circumstances.
he kills her husband.
Yeah, he kills her husband.
And there's actually a deleted scene that makes it even more obvious that
Oh,
he killed,
okay.
he like picks him up on his way from work home
Oh,
from work or
okay.
something.
So and then he kidnaps her and locks her in a basement,
Full of sunflowers.
brings her sunflowers.
That aren't in season. They're hard to get. Also, Barb was an ugly kid. That
Barb
So
was
hard
really
to get.
fat and as a little girl.
That was
apparently.
funny. She's so embarrassed of this this video of her eating a hot dog. I thought
It's
that
like,
was
wasn't
hilarious.
even that bad. Like,
No,
it's
yeah,
like,
it was
who
just
cares?
no. Again, that gets into the cynicism and kind of
Barb-
meanness
yeah,
of these.
Suck.
fat shaming.
No,
yeah.
she does suck, but like that's the thing. It's like people are bad and evil.
Yeah. But anyway, so the mom is kind of like, oh, of course I love you, because she doesn't want him to kill her
Yeah.
or Barb, because he's like, I'm going to go pick up Barb from school and we'll all be a happy family. And she's like, no, don't do that. Stay here. You know, I love you. And like, she's trying to distract him.
He's like,
and-
that's so selfish of you. Don't you want to share me with your
yeah,
family?
so then he starts mommy shaming her, even though he's like kidnapped her and tied her up in a bed. Like, she's 9 months pregnant. He's like, you're a bad mom because you don't want me to murder your daughter
yeah.
or whatever. And then he like
the cops show up and he's like, you ratted me out.
And it's just like,
I
how
don't
did she
understand
do
how,
this?
I
Yeah.
don't know. Before she got tied up.
And then he runs to the toy store.
yeah.
Well,
'cause
first he
that's-
stabs her in the stomach.
Oh, in the
Oh,
tummy,
yeah.
yeah.
Which we find out is apparently what caused Nika to be
I
Paralyzed.
guess.
because she was stabbed in the womb. I guess that's plausible.
Yeah, she didn't die, but she got fucked up. Yeah.
Yeah, and so then he runs to the toy store, pursued by Chris Sarandon, and then we see shots from like the original movie.
Yeah, which was fun. I was like, oh, cool, they're tying this all together. Awesome. Fun.
Guess. It wasn't a bank robbery. And that other guy wasn't there.
No, yeah, they're totally like retelling the story in a different way.
I guess this would have been even more disgusting, but I sort of was hoping that she was his daughter. Like,
well, but he also makes a big deal about this, like how he always wanted a family, and family's important to him, which is completely opposite of what happened in the past 2 movies.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a retcon of the origin story in a way that runs counterintuitive to the other 2 movies that you're directly tying into.
I just felt like this connection between them, like how is she connected to Chucky? Like you're wondering the whole movie, and it turns out that it's like not really that strong because like he was mad at the mom and wanted revenge on her when it's like it doesn't really.
So he's
the
just
connection
gonna
is
kill
not good
her
enough.
family?
Especially like the first 3 movies is him, like because like he could have been shipped anywhere, but he got shipped to the military academy because he wanted to like get
Andy, not this lady.
But then he finds out like, oh, I don't need to get Andy like at all.
Yeah,
like I could do whatever the fuck I want.
And he still doesn't do this for 20 years or whatever, or 10 years.
Right.
And so, like, all the time that he was running around with Tiffany and in Hollywood and Jennifer Tilly and all this stuff, he never, like, thought about this lady or whatever. And I don't know. I just wish that, I was like, oh, maybe it's, like, her uncle or her dad or, you know, whatever. Like, and I think that would have been maybe stronger. But I guess they didn't want to deal with, like, oh, he raped a lady.
It wants to have its cake and eat it, too, and I just think it's not strong.
Yeah, he's just trying to get revenge by killing everybody. That's kind of what he does. Yeah.
Do you think that the ring that Tiffany eventually gets that he was going to sell was like this lady's wedding ring?
I think that would have been a lot more fun.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So, and she's like, "You're the reason I'm this way." What?
Well, yeah, there's this whole scene where they're talking about Andy Barclay, and I actually really like this scene because she starts to dig at him because she's like, "Oh yeah, well, you didn't kill him, did you?" And she's like, "Well, I did in a way. I killed his childhood," which I thought was a really creepy thing for him to say. But then she goes like, you know, "Oh well, I've heard about this. It happens in a lot of men. It's called completion anxiety." And I was like, "Oh my god." That's what we have on this podcast.
Yes.
Completion anxiety. We gotta finish out each and every movie. And I was like, man, I'm really relating to this right now. Podcast form. But I love her like fighting back and like trying to get in his head because he's doing the same thing to her.
Yeah, and she does a very good job of it.
And he says he killed her too because she like kind of took away her.
Yeah, she couldn't even finish community college.
Insult to say, "Oh, I made you crippled and therefore I killed you." Like, oh my god.
Yeah,
really messed up.
And then drinking buddy shows up and Chucky pretends like he is not alive anymore, and she's holding a knife, and there's a ton of dead bodies.
Yeah,
and he's immediately like, "The cripple did it."
Yep. And then they cuts immediately to a courtroom where Chucky's sitting on a table.
Guilty.
And she's being wheeled out, and she's yelling at the doll that has all the scars and is all fucked up, which is just like, what?
I thought that scene was. I love that scene because she's just like,
I'm still alive,
you motherfucker.
Yeah, I like that part also.
And you know he's just sitting there pretending to be a doll, and he has to sit through this whole fucking boring ass court session.
And then we cut to Alice.
Yes. Well, wait. Before that, no, I don't think we cut to Alice first.
No.
I'm pretty sure we cut
to the cop taking the evidence bag to his car.
And this scene was confusing to me. I was like, oh shit, is this like the lead up to Bride of Chucky? Like this was actually like a prequel or something?
Oh, really? I didn't.
No, it's not that.
No, it's not. I know it's not that. But when I was watching it, I was
like, trash bag, and I did like, even though we've never really had thought about Chucky breathing before, I thought it was a cool idea that the trash bag was like going in and out towards his mouth.
I think it's again. I saw this scene, and it's like, so like he throws the evidence trash bag like in the seat next to him, and like there's just a small scene of like you can obviously see like when he's breathing in of the bag, and it's the type of efficient storytelling that this movie could have benefited from.
Yeah.
Of like, hey, it's one shot, it's very simple, it conveys a ton of information, and is creepy, and we see what we're learning, what he's learning all at once. It's good filmmaking.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I want to say too that like throughout the movie, they're revealing more and more of like the mystery is almost what are you considering canon from before,
Right?
Like, and as they reveal, like, oh, okay, so they're counting Child's Play 3. Okay, they're counting, Tiffany because he's got the scars, and then at some point he says, I killed your family now, like I ruined so many other families, like the Barclays, the Kincaids, the Tillys. And then I was like, oh, haha. Okay, so they're acknowledging all the way through Seed of Chucky. Mm-hmm. And so then you think, okay, well, he's implying that he killed Tiffany and Glenn and what was Glenda. Like he's implying that he killed them. So I guess we should say just that we're spoiling this movie, by the way, in case you haven't figured that out by now.
It's too late for this.
Yeah, Tiffany comes and slashes the cop's neck just like she did in the original movie.
Well, and the cop's saying like where do you like? I'll just let me know where to pay me. So like she Tiffany put him up to it.
Yeah,
somehow.
Yeah, just like she did with the other guy.
Yeah.
This is where like we kind of get like maybe an explanation for how Chucky was reconstituted
and mailed.
Yeah, because we learned that like apparently she's been like mailing him out to a bunch of different people because she says like where to next or whatever.
Yeah, she's like, who's next?
Yeah. So maybe that scene where Chucky's arm came back to Glenn or whatever, maybe she found the pieces and put them back together and they're still...
Forgave him for some reason.
Yeah, for whatever. Like off-screen, whatever, and now she's helping him get revenge on whoever he wants.
There's a whole extended scene where she's talking to the like FedEx lady and the lady's like, are there any dangerous goods in here? She's like, sort of. And it's like, about live animals.
Really kind of funny.
So there was so much of these movies where I was like, who the fuck is shipping him? Like, and now that I saw it, I was like, no, it turns out I was good.
We know at least one person who's shipping him.
Yeah.
But yeah, at least you get to see Jennifer Tilly do like 2 minutes of comedy.
Yeah.
And then it's just really funny because like they have that scene and they've already like shown all the names in the beginning, which made you think, okay, like Jennifer Tilly's not in this, Andy's not in this, like it's just Brad Dourif,
Yeah.
And then like right after this extended scene, it just cuts and it's like Jennifer Tilly is Tiffany, and then it goes into the regular.
There's like another ending.
Yeah.
There's multiple endings to this movie.
It has like 5 endings.
Yeah, this is where we get to Alice.
Yes.
And a confusing scene that I don't... Oh, wait, before that, I wanted to talk about another thing that I didn't quite understand. When Nika finally stabs and kills Chucky, or, doesn't really kill him, obviously, but like makes him stop attacking her. She like stabs him and then pulls out the knife and then like a bunch of like puff comes out of him.
Yeah, like snow or something. I didn't understand it
like
at all.
like doll, like what you would put into a Build-A-Bear, that kind of like doll fluff.
Right. And it's like at this point, if it's the same
and I was like
doll, then he's blood. Like,
I was like, what?
This.
And then there's a scene of it falling like snow and I was like, I don't understand what's happening here.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Yeah,
either.
and you never like they have made it seem this whole time that Chucky's like maybe fully plastic, more like an American Girl or something, not like the old style dolls where you had like a plush center and then plastic arms and legs and head. So I don't know, but apparently there's some white stuff that flies out of him, and that was weird and
very strange. But yeah, so we get to Alice, who's gotten another package.
She's now staying with her other grandma because everybody else died.
Yep. And
then Chucky wants to play Hide the Soul again.
Yes.
Yeah, he played that with Tyler, I think.
Which, okay, I was like, I don't understand. I thought the last movie he was all like, I don't want to go into anybody else. Like, I'm just going to be me and be an infamous killer doll.
Yeah.
And here he's playing Hide the Soul.
And he starts with this famous
Dambala,
give me the power, I beg of you.
Except he's saying it very like, give me the power, I beg of you, very quietly.
And then there's a quick cut of the grandma with a plastic bag over her.
Oh yeah, because he's like,
she's down in the attic,
in the cellar, and Alice is like, what's she doing down there? And he's like, Nothing.
Well, and it's funny because the little girl, like, she's like, "Oh, Auntie Nika killed my parents and Jill, and hi, Chucky, you're my friend. I'm so happy you're here." Like,
She's like, "You found me."
I forget. At this point, did he have the fake face on again?
No, he had the
He had
scars.
Yeah, he still had
okay,
the
yeah.
scars.
So it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then more credits.
More credits, and then
So in the unrated version, there's nothing else.
Shut
in
up.
the rated version, the scene does not. That's why I was like, you should.
Yeah.
That's
in
why
the rated version, they don't even have that scene.
In the rated version, the next thing. So I read it on Wikipedia and I was like, oh shit.
So that's how they sold the movie.
I guess.
Saying if you buy the unrated version, there's a secret
So
ending.
I know what it is, but I did not see it.
This is why Eliz was asking me
Yeah,
earlier.
and you're like because reasons.
yeah, I watched the unrated version because
Well,
reasons.
see, okay, you said that, and so that just made me think that there was like boobs or an extra gory like death or something. I didn't realize it would be like this whole scene that for content reasons doesn't need to be,
it also
censored.
makes absolutely no sense.
It makes no sense because you have just had this scene where he Don Balla'd Alice, okay,
Yeah. And
then-
didn't get interrupted as far as we saw.
Yeah, he got farther along in that speech than ever before.
Yeah.
Okay, like he got all the way into this French part,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
So
Joie d'amour or whatever.
yeah, so we see the delivery come to some white guy, and
Maybe looks from. I immediately was like, "Oh my!"
you thought
God.
you could tell it was him.
Yeah, I could tell.
Okay.
I could tell.
I already knew that he was in this movie from when I did the Child Star check-in on the first movie, and so I was like, but then I thought maybe I read it wrong, and maybe it's the next one, and it's not this one. So then when I saw him, I was like, oh, okay, it's definitely him. But when he gets the package, I'm like, there is no way that after everything Andy's been through, when he gets a mysterious package of that size, he should be immediately like on alarm,
Yeah.
So I was like, sort of like, this is lame or whatever. But
Did you think Alice was going to be inside there?
no.
I'm just kidding.
So he takes the package upstairs and like doesn't open it, gets on a phone call with his mom.
Yeah. What?
So his mom's not dead, but she's at least can take visitors now. We don't know if she's institutionalized.
Yeah. And
or
for all
what.
the people who couldn't, we're dancing around this, but Andy Barclay
It's
is in
Andy.
this.
Yeah.
And for people who didn't recognize him while they're watching, it does like a really slow, like camera motion to go look at his like photos on the desk.
Yeah, it's
there.
a photo of him and Catherine Hicks.
Yep.
A photo of Kyle looking like she did right when he met her, which is
like
weird.
it's a really bad photo. Of her.
Yeah, and then like his diploma from Kent Military Academy, which I was like, he stayed at that school and graduated after he was blamed for like
we
the
saw
multiple
him getting, he
murders.
was
Like
getting taken away in a fucking cop car.
apparently he graduated. So
He completed the war games.
yeah. So there's some kind of cool shots of Chucky, like
Sorry. I did not see that detail. That is so fucking
oh yeah, 'cause
funny.
you didn't see this part. Yeah, okay.
But there's
There's
a cool
shot of Chucky like slicing his way out of the box while this guy's on
It's
the
just
phone
a knife, like,
and looking the other way. And then Chucky comes up, and you think he's gonna get the drop on Andy, but Andy has a rifle.
He turns around and Andy turns around and he's like, "Play with this," with a shotgun, and then Chucky's just like,
shoots him.
"Andy."
Yeah, he says like Andy, no, which I'm kind of like, why
Yeah,
would
he's like,
you
"Andy,
even
no."
bother? Yeah, like so he shoots him. So it's like, okay, wait.
It was a cool. He shoots him, and then it's like, Alex Vincent is Andy Barclay.
Yeah, that was really
And
cool.
I was like, damn, that was cool. Okay,
Like that was great. Like I'm so happy that Andy's back in the franchise somehow.
Yeah,
like
that was
that's
really
the kind of
fun.
shit franchise wise that I feel like we love.
Yeah.
Okay, like this guy was gone for a couple movies. He's an adult now. It works out timeline wise. You bring him back. Like
Yeah.
beautiful, but like
But only in the unrated version.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it makes no sense
makes
to
no
the
sense.
previous scene.
yeah. Why do we have to have the scene with Alice? Then it would have been fine. If Tiffany just sent him to Andy,
Right.
that would be perfect. Why? Like,
Because the scene with Alice ruins like what happened in the last movie, and it makes no sense with the Andy thing. There's so many reasons why
To
that
not have that
scene
scene.
should just be gone.
yeah.
But we talked, because like we talked about how it was this big character development moment for
No,
Chucky.
and we were like into it. Like
Yeah.
it was like, yeah, like we're talking about like he's one of like the greatest horror monsters. Yeah.
And now apparently we are to believe that he is in a young child.
Yeah.
Or not.
Yeah, I guess we don't really know.
Unless off screen he went into Alice, then got back out into the doll, and then Maybe right
I don't
before,
know.
maybe right after the cut away from Alice, somebody interrupted the Dumbledore thing, voodoo thing. I don't know, but yeah, it makes no sense. So I'm interested to see going into the next one if one of these endings is disregarded.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Well, how many bowls of chili?
I was gonna say it's got to be like tainted bowls of chili or something. I was waiting for this ever since the chili conversation.
Chili. How many tainted bowls of chili would you give Curse of Charles?
Curse of Charles Lee Ray. What is the curse, though? Seriously,
I guess
yeah, that was-
knowing him.
Yeah.
being involved.
Your
with
mom
it?
knew him once. Your mom looked hot at a picnic, and therefore your life is ruined.
Because it's not like a curse that he's in the doll. It's not like someone was like, "You're gonna be cursed to live a life of a doll."
Maybe that's why they
Or maybe it's just
held
a
to that
voodoo.
ending with Alice so hard because it was the titular curse.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it is maybe a voodoo curse that he's saying. I have no idea. Whatever. I keep going back and forth in this movie. I don't
Yeah.
really know quite.
It's a big conundrum because it has a lot of things that we like, but it also tries to do while holding on to other things.
Yeah, it's got all that sequel stuff that should make us love it. It
Yeah.
references all the other movies. It brings back actors we haven't seen, and it's like, oh yeah, this is great. It's connected, but like, what is actually connected is bad.
and it also somehow discounts all of those things all
Yeah.
at once.
Yeah, and all that stuff, like we said, comes at the end and it feels like super rushed
Yeah.
a little
Yeah.
bit. But like the whole rest of the movie, I was like, man, I'm actually like excited that it's back to horror. I'm really digging this. Like, back to just like, its roots. Chucky being a really bad dude and not cracking jokes every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And I was like, also, I mentioned early in the beginning, I thought like the acting overall was not super great. Brad Dourif's always great. And so when I went after the words to see like what people thought of this movie, I was a little bit shocked to see that it was like, the Wikipedia was like, oh, it has a score of 81% on
Yeah,
Rotten
people
Tomatoes.
like it.
And I was like, whoa, okay. I thought maybe people thought it was okay, but I was not. Usually by this time people are like, oh, these sequels are just
Yeah, I mean, I
awful.
guess it's just because we are watching them so close together. We're
Yeah.
like, it wasn't as good,
Yeah.
whereas those people are like, oh my God, I haven't seen Chucky since, blah, blah, blah. And there's probably people that came back to it that didn't watch Seed and
Right.
Yeah.
only saw Bride or only saw Child's Play 2.
Or they saw the trailers for those movies.
or Child's Play 1.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it-
like...
and we're just excited that it was horror again.
Yeah. The concept of it being horror again excited me, but the execution was bad, I think. And so then because the execution was like that, it made me miss the comedy. And I was like, I want Tiffany back and I want the jokes and I don't care about this like lame horror, especially because we just watch so many horror movies that it's just kind of like, this is not a good version of this.
So I feel like that kind of wishy-washy nature of how I feel about this movie, I feel like I'm going to end up going with five
Down the center.
tainted chili bowls. Yeah, or bowls of chili. Just because, just right down the center. I liked a lot about this movie, but overall I was just a little bit like, I don't know. Like maybe maybe this movie is like setting up something that'll be really great in the next movie, and I'll appreciate it more after seeing it.
I did have that feeling as well.
Yeah, because it is, at the same time that it's bringing stuff back, it's also kind of working a little bit as a reboot. Maybe that's why there's this long explanation of the quote unquote origin of Charles Lee Ray,
Right.
and this to kind of like bring it around for people who haven't watched any of the other movies. You could start here and be like, oh, I get what's happening.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll like this movie more in retrospect once we see the next one, but I don't really know how it plays out. So I'm going to stay with 5 tainted bowls of chili.
I am also going to give it 5 tainted bowls of chili, even though there's only one that was tainted. The other 4 were fine. And so
Not according to Alice.
Yeah, I agree. I think this movie really should have picked a lane and stuck with it. Besides the fight between comedy or horror, the other kind of issue that the movies have gone back and forth on is, are we rooting for a protagonist or are
Right.
we rooting for Chucky? And this one, like, we have
It's a
had all
wash.
this time with Chucky, and so you inherently are rooting for him somewhat, and also because all the other characters are so annoying. But I
Yep.
did think that Fiona Dourif was also kind of good. Like, she wasn't as annoying as all the other characters, and I regardless of all the wheelchair stuff, I think like her her versus Chucky is like a good match.
I think she was the first one who like went toe to toe with him psychologically. It was like,
Yeah. So I did like this character, and I found her. I don't want to say sympathetic, like for the it's not. I find her sympathetic in that I actually care what happens to her,
Right.
not involving the wheelchair stuff. But yeah, like I think she was a good character, and I think she could have been just as good not in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
So then that's sort of another conflict because you're just like, who was I rooting for this whole time, and like, what did I even want to happen?
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool that they bring back the idea of like, if you say it's Chucky, people think you're crazy and you're screwed over. So
yeah, I'm gonna give it 4. I think that I think it wanted to be a reboot, and I think that Don Mancini or somebody who was a writer was just like, but I've already written all this great stuff, and I don't want to throw all that out of the window. So like, here's all this, but like, here's a way to keep it. Like, let's throw it all at the end, so it's all still kind of there. And it wasn't like a cool, fun tie-in for those things to make them work. It was more just like, hey, here's half of a movie that ties it back into the type of movie that you want this to be, and then here's for the fans of that. Cool, and then here's a bunch of stuff that I've already written.
yeah.
I mean, someone who is watching this movie as like, I've never seen any of the Chucky movies, I'm going to watch this. I think it would be completely confused by the end of this film.
What were the rated and unrated released at the same time, or was the unrated released later so that everybody would buy it?
I think
again?
it was on this. I think it was at the same time.
It had to
so
have
then
been.
that doesn't really like it's a wash.
Like the
also.
Blu-ray I
Yeah.
had was just like, choose between which one.
Yeah, so like you're not really buying it twice. So what's the point of hiding that Andy scene?
Well, even the Jennifer Tilly scene, people would be like, huh? If you hadn't seen the other movies.
Yeah.
Otherwise, up until that point, you could be totally on board with everything.
Yeah.
But the way it ultimately ends, you'd be like, what? I don't, who is that?
It felt like a compromise the entire time, and it just, and it wasn't. 4. I agree. It could build to something else, and I might. That's kind of why I left myself some room for improvement.
Yeah, they've certainly set up a potentially interesting situation. I would love to see her going up against him.
Yeah, it's almost like they were trying to do like a Marvel thing where it's like you have this after credits, and maybe you don't know who the hell Nick Fury or Thanos is, but there are some people in there that are like, what? And then you're like, oh, okay, I guess I'm excited because you are. Like, I don't know. So.
Well, we have to wait all the way to 2017 to get the final of the Don Mancini films so far, Cult of Chucky. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know what this is about at all, but the title makes me think maybe there's now suddenly a group of people that are like super into Chucky and like.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. That's people that are for Chucky, but also we know there's all these people floating around now that are against Chucky.
Right.
I guess. Like you have Nika and Andy around, but then also Tiffany's out there.
Yeah.
And maybe Alice and
So maybe people who like, how in Bride of Chucky, Tiffany was, obviously obsessed with Chucky. Maybe there's a big group of people that are like,
maybe.
trying
We
to
don't
hunt him
really know what
down,
happened
or-
to Glenn and Glenda either. They're adults now. So.
Yeah. Or I don't know what's going on. People are using good guy dolls and like pretending they're alive or something. I don't know.
As guy, that's just like it's the far
They're just
future.
like, I'm Chucky. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, who knows? Like, that would be really funny. I have no idea. No one's seen it, right?
But we will find out next week.
Yeah.
And so will you, listener. But in the meantime, Eli's where they can get in touch with us.
Yeah, you can send us an email, sequelrights@gmail.com, and let us know what franchises you want to see next. And find us on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Sequel Rights.
And please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, or it's just podcast now. Goodbye, iTunes. Listen to us on Spotify. We're on Spotify now, and every listen helps. Thank you.
And thanks to my brother for the music at the top of the show. We love it. We know you love it. Hey, you guys might have heard there was no tagline game this week, but, for everyone who loved it last week, it'll be back. Don't worry. There was just no tagline for this poster. But yeah, we'll see everybody next week for the Cult of Chucky.